Despite the Lakers currently riding a 5-game win streak and playing some of their best ball the entire season, having the best record in the entire league over the past month now, not to mention the best defense to go with it, and by a pretty wide margin at that, or LeBron playing great even now at 40, Luka Doncic getting comfortable and slowly but surely finding a rhythm, there has been one negative lately, and that does happen to be the injuries. Unfortunately, they've kind of caught the injury bug. Thankfully not an entire team-wide thing here, but a couple major pieces have gotten hurt lately, namely being Rui Hachimura and Austin Reaves, both of which have gotten hurt during their past 2 games, and both of which initially sounded pretty serious, but new reports indicate they may or may not be, and we're going to talk about that, although with a more positive injury report about a guy that's yet to play for their team but might actually be able to make it back this season, along with their injury report in general for later tonight. So we're going to talk about it and break it all down. But before we get too far into it, let's go over our game day picks with Underdog Fantasy. And if you're a new sign up, you can pick Luka Doncic to have higher than 0.5 points later tonight. So yeah, take advantage of that free pick. But then for my picks, for pick number 1, I got LeBron having higher than 8.5 rebounds. He's had that in 4 straight games now, so I think he will again tonight. Then for my second pick, I got Kawhi Leonard having higher than 2.5 assists. He's had that in 3 straight games now, so hopefully he will again tonight as well. Then for my third pick, Chris Dunn having higher than 3.5 rebounds. He's had that in 5 straight games now. Then for my fourth pick, Jackson Hayes having higher than 6.5 rebounds and assists. Then for my fifth pick, I got Ivica Zubac having higher than 0.5 double-doubles, aka having a double-double. Then for my final pick, I got Bol Bol having higher than 0.5 assists. So if you want to follow along with me, or make your own picks, then be sure to check out Underdog Fantasy, and don't forget to use code JSM to get your free pick, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make a deposit. But now getting back to our topic, and again, with their injury report, there does happen to be a couple new additions to it, one of which being Jordan Goodwin, being listed with a right ankle sprain and currently being doubtful, and then the second being Austin Reaves, which we saw coming, also being doubtful with a right calf strain. But for Austin Reaves, I think that's actually not a bad thing. I mean, when you see the word calf strain, that's not really a good feeling. I mean, for Luka Doncic, that meant nearly missing 2 months, and that can be a varying level of injury to where it could be a week injury, it could be a month injury, even up to a multi-month injury, and that's something you definitely don't want to push. But thankfully for Austin here, it does not appear to be a long-term injury for him. Might not even miss their game tonight, although it's probably very likely, but a pretty good sign that he'll be back very soon and maybe even within the week. And then for Jordan Goodwin, simply a right ankle sprain here and simply needs maybe a day off or 2 to recover from it. Not a long-term thing for him either, but is a new addition to the report, so something to watch out for. Their backcourt might be pretty thin tonight. If they're both out, and that's probably very likely, then we might see the return of a guy like Shake Milton and or Cam Reddish to the rotation. Definitely could use some more ball handling, and obviously a lot more Gabe Vincent tonight as well. They're really going to need both Luka and LeBron to play tonight. You know, without Austin Reaves and then Jordan Goodwin, that's 2 ball handlers away from their team, 2 point of attack defenders, and 2 guards in general, so they will need other guys to fill in for them. But again, the main takeaway with them, and primarily for Austin Reaves, is that it's very likely not a long-term thing for him. JJ Redick even called it more precautionary, and apparently he wasn't lying about that. Again, if you're doubtful, you're probably not going to be out for too much longer after this game, and even if he does miss this game, likely will be back within the week, and that's a very good thing for their team and especially their offense too. Apart from those 2 though, we do gotta talk about Rui Hachimura and Maxi Kleber with him, both of which are the 2 that have been ruled out for the game tomorrow night. Hachimura, the new injury and the new addition to that, with a left patellar tendinopathy. Kind of a big word there, but we'll break that one down. And then for Maxi Kleber, of course, as he had to play for their team with a right broken foot, is recovering from that, and we do actually have a positive update on him, so we'll talk about that after the update on Hachimura here, that being more of the bad news to their team, and it's been confirmed that he'll be out for not only this game tonight, but the entirety of this week, only being said to be re-evaluated in 1 week, and that word kind of spells PTSD for me and probably a lot of Laker fans at that. I mean, between guys in the past like Kendrick Nunn, Gabe Vincent last season, Christian Wood, Jared Vanderbilt, the word reevaluated and reevaluation are not very fond words in our memory bank, but it is kind of an open-ended update, kind of an update without giving an update. Not really a timetable with his return date yet, and although Redick has been optimistic about it, saying that they are optimistic that it's not a long-term or serious injury, quote-unquote, they're still trying to gather all the information, and he has yet to be fully examined by their team physician, so whenever that happens they'll have a full update on him, but at this point it's looking to be at the bare minimum of a 1-week injury, potentially a 1 to 2 week injury, and with a tendinopathy, that can be anything between a week-to-week injury up to a month-to-month injury. It all depends on the severity of the injury and how much actual pain and simply inflammation is caused around the knee. So we'll have to wait on that, but at this point, likely will be out for 4 to 5 games to the bare minimum. And well, for their rotation, that likely will mean more of a guy like Trey Jemison. Now you might be confused by that as Rui Hachimura now playing at center, but if you watch their last game against the LA Clippers, and that is who they're matching up with again tonight, no Rui Hachimura directly meant more Trey Jemison. After all, Rui Hachimura often plays some small ball center for them and quite a bit of it lately, and without him they really can't do that anymore. They don't have the combination of big wings to play that bigger small ball lineup with the combination of guys like Rui Hachimura, LeBron James, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Jared Vanderbilt. Without even one of them, they really can't do that, especially not against a bigger team and a bigger guy like Ivica Zubac, so probably will see more Trey Jemison tonight and probably in the short term to even maybe intermediate future as well. Or then when matching up with a quicker, smaller team, that might mean the return of a guy like Cam Reddish to the rotation, especially adding in the fact that Reaves and Goodwin are currently hurt or may potentially be hurt. That only adds to it and gives them both a need in their front court and their back court, so who knows. Maybe it could be Cam Reddish, maybe it could be Shake Milton, maybe they simply rely heavier on a 7 to 9 man rotation and give more playing time to Gabe Vincent and or Dalton Connect, but I definitely wouldn't rule it out. It could be a guy like Reddish, could be Shake Milton, but we'll definitely see more of guys that probably have not gotten much playing time lately in the rotation more in the short term to intermediate term future going forward. And again, for Hachimura, hopefully it's not a long-term injury here, but with right knee tendinopathy or simply tendinopathy in general, you never really know. Also called jumper's knee with patellar tendinopathy, it could be a week-to-week injury, could be a day-to-day injury, or even a month-to-month injury. You never really know, and they won't know until they get the full injury report on him, which again they simply don't have yet. So until that happens, we don't have a full report on him, but I do like the fact that Redick was optimistic about it, and that's not a long-term serious injury for their team. So at least we do have that to go off of. But then finally, for a bit more positivity and more positive outlook, talking about Maxi Kleber, according to Jovan Buha The Athletic, there is quote-unquote some optimism that he might return before the start of the playoffs. And well, that would definitely be a good thing for them. You know, I definitely don't blame you if you forgot about him or Markieff Morris to that fact, but they were included with Luka Doncic, and unlike Markieff Morris, Kleber actually can be a fairly decent rotational player and actually could be an every game member for their team if you were healthy. Obviously that's not the case right now and hasn't been, but if that report turns out to be true and he might return in late March, early April, which will be shortly before the postseason, that could help them and actually would give their front court a big boost. You know, might not be a lob threat or an athletic big like Jackson Hayes or a more physical rim runner bruiser like a Trey Jemison, but offers something they can't offer, that being 3-point shooting, is a 35.4% career 3-point shooter on about 3.1 attempts per game in only about 22 minutes per game, aka about 5 attempts per 36 minutes, and again, that's something they really don't have at center right now. A floor spacing big, a good rim runner, a more switchable big rather than a more physically imposing rim protector, that's something that might be more valuable for certain matchups, and then add in the fact that he's played with Luka Doncic for about half a decade, good on-court chemistry there, and that might be something that could help their team out. Now definitely don't hold your breath here and don't get too excited about it, but if it actually would turn out to be true, I think that would help out their front court. Even if it would be a matchup dependent kind of thing, he could help them in some matchups and would be a fairly decent contributor to their rotation. And from that standpoint, it's a good thing and something worth talking about at least a little bit, a slight mention. But obviously the bigger deal here does happen to be Rui Hachimura and Austin Reaves with him. The more bad news being Hachimura, the better news being Austin Reaves, that being more of a short-term injury, only out for probably 1 game, but Hachimura might be out for a week and maybe even longer at that, which could be anything from 4 to 5 games to maybe even more than that, and obviously we gotta wait for more information on that to come out. But with that being said, what do you guys think? How do you feel about the Lakers injury report and the new updates on them? Everything from Austin Reaves, Jordan Goodwin, Rui Hachimura, and Maxi Kleber. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one, and if you enjoyed the video, then I'll greatly appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day or night.